This is your 420 Radio News for Tuesday, September 10th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Senate panel clears the air on marijuana laws from usatoday.com. Federal laws pose significant obstacles to regulation of marijuana in states where it's legal and need to be addressed, said Senator Patrick Leahy, Democrat of Vermont, on Tuesday in a first-ever hearing aimed at reconciling rapidly changing state marijuana laws with a federal prohibition on the drug. Quote, "We must have a smarter approach to marijuana policy," Leahy, chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee, said. "Marijuana use in this country is nothing new, but the way that individual states are dealing with marijuana continues to evolve," end quote. Senator Chuck Grassley, Republican of Iowa, said Colorado has done a poor job so far of preventing marijuana exports to other states where marijuana remains illegal. Quote, "Why has the Justice Department decided to trust Colorado?" Grassley said. "Colorado has become a significant exporter of marijuana," end quote. King County, Washington Sheriff John Urquhart said he sees little conflict between his state's marijuana laws and federal law enforcement. Quote, "What we have in Washington is not the wild, wild west," he said. "The message to my deputies has been very clear. You will enforce our new marijuana laws. You will write someone a ticket for smoking in public. You will enforce age limits. You will put unlicensed stores out of business," end quote. Legalizing marijuana without strict controls will create an enormous public health problem similar to what the United States faced with tobacco use, said Kevin Sabet, founder of Project SAM, which advocates for a marijuana policy that focuses on public health, prevention, and treatment. After years of fighting big tobacco, Sabet said, quote, "We are now on the brink of creating big marijuana," end quote. Pot fans cheer Tuesday's historic Senate hearing from usatoday.com. Dan Riffle, director of federal policies for the nonprofit lobby group Marijuana Policy Project in Washington, D.C., said he hopes for a breakthrough in the hearing that would lead to changes in federal banking laws, allowing marijuana sellers to accept credit cards and checks, not just cash. But, quote, "The elephant in the room is that we have an administration that's essentially working around federal law," end quote, to allow states to legalize marijuana, he said. Quote, "What we should do is just change federal law. Just legalize marijuana," end quote. Planning to be in the front row at Tuesday's hearing is Neil Franklin, who heads Law Enforcement Against Prohibition, a nationwide group of mostly retired police, judges, and correction officers who want to see all street drugs legalized. He said, quote, "A nationwide policy of prohibition leads to organized crime, underground crime, mass incarceration, very costly law enforcement, and ironically, the drugs become more widely available and more dangerous because there are no quality control standards. We saw that with alcohol," he said, end quote. Ex-DEA chiefs blast Holder on marijuana stance in Colorado and Washington, from CNN.com. A group of former top counter-narcotics officials are taking on Attorney General Eric Holder over the Justice Department's decision to soften its stance on marijuana legalization. The 9 former DEA chiefs, who span the years of the U.S. drug war dating back to the 1970s, aren't moved by changing public opinion on the issue. In the later dated Monday, they said they were, quote, "shocked and dismayed" by Holder's move. Quote, "You took an oath of office, as each of us did, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States," the former DEA officials say. "Great harm will be done in Colorado and Washington and throughout the country with the legalization of marijuana," end quote. The Justice Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment. James Comer, Thomas Massey lobby for hemp in Washington. This from WFPL.org. 2 Kentucky elected officials made the case for industrial hemp Tuesday at a briefing in Washington, D.C., in an effort to lobby Congress to legalize the plant for commercial production. U.S. Representative Thomas Massey and State Agricultural Commissioner James Comer briefed congressional staffers on the benefits of industrial hemp at a forum hosted by Vote Hemp, touting the benefits of research and commercial production of industrial hemp and how it's radically different from its psychoactive cousin marijuana. They were joined by Representative Jared Polis, a Colorado Democrat. Comer argues that because hemp is not defined in the Controlled Substances Act, the Justice Department memo effectively paves the way for hemp's de facto legal cultivation in Kentucky. There are currently 2 bills circulating in Congress to seek to exempt hemp from the federal definition of marijuana. Comer says that if neither bills pass, he intends to inform the Department of Justice that Kentucky's farmers will go ahead and begin planting the first hemp crops by February 2014. This has been your 420 Radio News for Tuesday, September 10th, 2013. I'm Russ Belville. Coming up next, in its entirety, we present the High Times Seattle Cannabis Cup panel on legalization in America, featuring Allison Holcomb, Rick Steves, Keith Stroup, and more. You're listening to The Russ Belville Show on 420radio.org. We'll be right back with that panel next.